How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's very lovely to have you here. This is not your first book.
No.
But what was the genesis and what set you off the path to write this book about really the moment we're living in right now?
So I really wanted to write something that was part memoir, but was also, I think, encapsulating a lot of what women have been going through right now, especially in the last few years since 2017's Me Too movement and Time's Up and all of that, and this sort of condensed sense of palpable rage and change that feels uncontrollable and really terrifying, and to talk a lot about leaning into that and not being afraid of it, and to know that the change that we're sort of seeking as a culture and as a country and as individual genders is going to come when we are in our own discomfort, and we're not afraid of it anymore.
One of the things that a paperback gives you an opportunity to do is add something, revise things.
Yes.
In this case, you had an afterword where it seems, I guess you wrote 6 months ago, about the candidates in the Democratic field and how important it was to have sort of a diverse group of candidates. And basically just this idea of representation and how that could help avoid moments like the one we're living in now, if you have more voices in power.
Yes, well, statistically, it's actually proven, too, that if you have more women in positions of power, if you have more equality in positions of power, sexual harassment and sexual assault actually goes down in the workplace. That is a fact and a statistic. And I think one of the most important things we're seeing about not only this election, but the powerful women like Ayanna Pressley and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you know, coming into power and coming into office, is that we're actually seeing the living embodiment of who we are in those positions of power, which allows us to feel like we can capably become those types of women someday in our own lives. So I think it's so important that what we're seeing right now is a lot of different types of women who are running. It keeps narrowing down. I myself am a huge Elizabeth Warren fan. I've endorsed her. I think she's absolutely incredible. And what's so great about it, though, is that there's options. And we didn't really have that before. So now that we have the options, we can actually talk about the fundamental ideas and plans behind who those candidates are and why we want them.
Another thing you did was you wrote an epilogue, which is a letter to your daughter.
Yes.
And I've certainly felt this as well in this moment you describe, in this era we're living through where there's a lot to be angry about and a lot of, I think, reflecting on the way we treated different genders and having two boys. I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
Has being a parent informed the way you think about this and the way you write about this?
Oh, it's changed everything. And so many of my girlfriends, too, like I imagine for you it must be such a complex feeling to have two sons in this particular era with this particular president, just as anyone who has, you know, girls, who's raising girls. But for me, I think one of the hardest things that I had to come to grips with as a parent was that I really couldn't control it. And I couldn't control the outcome. And I couldn't control protecting them. I couldn't control making them better in certain instances. There's just so much you can't control. And letting go of that, but knowing that you can be the most empathic nurturer and supporter through the good and the bad with your child was something that was a real harnessing moment for me in getting to write that letter to her at the end of the book.
You talk about lacking control as a parent. My wife gave birth in the lobby,
I know.
Which was that was a perfect example of a lack of control, because if you could control it, you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You had a similar labor issue that was, again, a lack of control.
I also refer to as a labor issue.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what women call it in the hospital. Sir, I'm having a labor issue. Sir. It was actually like the day after Trump had won, and I was coming up the stairs in the subway at Columbus Circle and started to feel contractions. And I realized that I was actually like about to give birth in the subway as I was coming up the stairs, and it was really scary, and there was all of these different things that happening, and including a wonderful homeless man who offered me an orange to help.
Sure.
That was great. And then also, offered to help give birth. It was a very intense experience. And I was, in my mind, freaking out. And I chronicled this in the book. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm, the depression from Hillary Clinton losing, is making my water break, or if I'm having like a miscarriage because Trump has won. I know that's really intense, but that's how it felt in that moment.
For sure.
Yeah. And it actually just turned out I was having an anxiety attack. Okay. That's all it was. It's just like a huge anxiety attack.
There were a lot, hospitals were filled of people with doctors being like, ma'am, you're not having your baby right now.
That's exactly what it was.
It's just a strange man is president, and this is a totally normal thing to feel.
That's right.
I was not in, over my career, I was not in many films, but we were in a film together.
We were in a very important film together.
We were in a very
I
important
remember.
film.
I remember.
We were in a film called Spring Breakdown.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's legendary.
It's a legendary film. I think growing every year.
It is.
Which helps because it started very small.
I don't know why it wasn't nominated for the Oscar this year.
Yeah. Overlooked again.
Overlooked again.
Yeah.
You guys.
But a wonderfully fun film with Amy Poehler and Rachel Dratch and yourself and
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey, a good group of people.
Yeah. I don't know where you can check it out, but
yeah.
It might be like in a used DVD in
yeah,
the Columbus
I know
Circle
there's
subway.
There's one Blockbuster left in Alaska that I think has it. Hey, thank you so much for making the time and being here.
It's a pleasure to be
Delight
here.
to talk to you. Really appreciate it. Amber Tamblyn, everybody.